in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up, so I can make a better me.
Way, we're back. It's been I think it's been about 4 months. We've had Christmas, we've had New Year, and we're straight back into it. Fazz, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. It feels like yesterday. The build up to round 23. You know, we were all up and about, just written in the stars. We were ready to go, and yeah, what's said and done, it's been past Christmas, New Year's, and here we are, ready to go again for another season of ups and downs. Hopefully more ups.
Mate, thrills and spills, no doubt. No, they ruined our grand final content. It was all prepared. Robbie's in chat. Good day to you. But I mean, obviously, we're in a new year, new dawn. This is probably the most annoying thing about being a Carlton fan, because it's probably the most used phrase, isn't it? New year, new opportunities. But I mean, surely they make the 8 this year, don't they, Faz? Like, odds on finishing 9th, you have to, don't you?
Well, you know, nothing's a guarantee. I think there's yes. Look, I mean, yes, they've got to be making the 8. I mean, there's a few teams who finished outside the top 8 who'd be thinking that spot's theirs. I'm looking at Port Adelaide. I'm really looking at Port Adelaide. I think they're the other team like us who probably think they deserve a spot ahead of a couple of teams that made it. You know, everyone talks about Gold Coast every year, and you know, but really, yeah, it's Carlton. If someone's going to make it and knock one of these teams out of the top 8, it's got to be Carlton. Has to be.
Mate, that's better. I mean, obviously, we've seen a few of them teams. Gold Coast actually looked pretty tasty, didn't they? In their practice game. This was the practice game against Essendon, from memory, and they look pretty tasty. They'll be one of the teams, but obviously, we'll start with Carlton, and we've got some new intros coming up. I haven't quite finished them yet. I've changed the logo, if anyone's noticed there. But we have got a practice game versus Collingwood, so we'll start with that. Like, Fazz and chat, what are we aiming to see? And Fazz, are you going tomorrow?
Nah, I'm at work tomorrow, but I will definitely be having it on the projector and the TV in the classroom ready to go.
I thought you might have roped the kids into like an excursion.
I tried to do it, but apparently OH&S didn't tick it off. So, but no, it will be on. It will be on the screen. I've already ran it by the boss, saying, "Look, mate, you got 2 options: either come in, work half the day and watch the footy, or I take the day off. Your choice, mate." And he said, "Oh, it's all right. Come on in, put it on the screen, all good." So yeah, it'll be on.
And what are you in chat as well? What are you hoping to see from the boys? Is there anything that you're actually looking for, or are you just treating it as a practice game and just hoping to get through it without any injuries?
My favourite thing that I saw today on Twitter was a lot of people saying, "It's just a practice game. Don't want to take it too seriously," all that, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you something for nothing. There will be meltdowns tomorrow, regardless of what happens. I don't care what anyone. There's always meltdowns. It's a practice game. Don't worry. No, people will melt down. We'll see a few things and all that. But for me, what I'm hoping to see the boys look a bit bigger. I want the disposal to improve. I watched the 2 games today, the Geelong Hawthorn game, and Geelong looked incredible with their ball use. And in the Essendon Gold Coast game, but the thing that stood out with Hawthorn, Essendon, Gold Coast, butchering the ball. So to me, can we take that step and be a good ball users? But the big one that I'm really looking forward to is continuity. Same coaching staff, relatively the same list. This never happens for our team. Usually it's 10 changes a season and coaches changing. We've actually got some continuity. So I'm looking to see some, the boys know what they're doing.
We've seen a lot of C words that begin with the first sound of continuity using this channel, but I haven't heard continuity for a while. But no, I'm with you, and I think the chat agree with you. I do like this one from Gavin. I'd like to see some controlled aggression, and on the back of that, something I'm looking forward to is hopefully seeing some control, because I don't know what the chat feel like and what you Fazz, but I sometimes feel like last year Carlton were either really red hot or really shit. They either were 50 miles an hour or static. I want to see, like, I saw Geelong today and I thought Hawthorn looked a bit tasty early doors, but it's their ability to control a game, you know, like get on top, then stay on top, but not have to work hard to stay on top, keep them off, and then they've got that second gear they can go to. For me, that is something that I am really thinking that if we're a serious finals side, we have to have that ability to either just take the edge off it. You saw it Hawthorn last year, round 4. I think is the best example of what I mean. Is first half, we looked unbeatable, but it's obvious you can't maintain that. And when we went to take the game off, Hawthorn got back in the game because we didn't know how to. And that's something I want to see us learn throughout the year.
No, I agree. That controlled aggression and being able to, you know, control the game and never looking in trouble. So there's times in, like you say, in games where you might not be scoring, but you don't look in trouble. You're just controlling it and happy to go about it. For me as well, I mean, I know it's a practice game. I know what they'll say, but I want to see the boys. I mean, it should still hurt round 23. And I'm not saying we should go out and do all it, but just be ruthless and say, you know, we're here to do it professional. Be professional. Let's do a professional job. Go out there, play the game plan, but also just show that you care, because they've spoken a lot about we've put last year behind us and you know we're going to learn and all this stuff like that. But to me, you know, I'm all about embracing it. You know, I've never really liked the whole don't talk about finals, don't talk about this. Embrace it, embrace the challenge, embrace the moment. I think the Carlton players should be talking about round 23 and embracing it. Not just this week, but moving on to just saying, not live in the past, but say it hurts every single week when you run out against Collingwood in the practice match, Sydney next week in a practice match, Richmond, always thinking how much that actually hurt.
Mate, I'm with you. I mean, one of my good friends was at the Curnow thing yesterday, and Cripper said through him at the show that top 4 is the aim. It's just something that they don't put in the media, and it was something that I said to him, why don't they say that? Like for me, if you've said that to the fans, saying that to the media, it shouldn't be such a big step, because what are you scared of? But I mean, like for me, I think tomorrow is a great game, and I'll tell you for why. I think, and I know big Velociraptor. Hey, tell you what, that's hard to say. That's our friend Ben, a big fan of the channel. I know he's a massive Collingwood fan, and I would say on paper, what beat us last year from Collingwood was their ability around the ball, that they wouldn't win the ball, but it was their work ethic took Carlton's strength away from them. They really hounded us in and around the ball and made us overuse it. And I actually think on paper, they have got better at that. So I think that's how Collingwood beat us twice. That ability to really overrun us where it matters. I think this is going to be a great, and no one's talked about it. I think that's a great example for Carlton, because they are going to be infinitely better, because Tom Mitchell now can extract the pill. That's what he does. That is something I'm looking at. Hewitt, Cripper, and we'll go through the list. There's a few shocks in a minute, but that is where what we've bought on paper is obviously a clear fix. They want to get the ball away from there faster, and quicker. I want to be able to see how that looks, because for sure on paper, Collingwood are better now at that. And that hurt us last time. Let's see what our strength looks like. And I do want to see, like Quinton here, brilliant. Thank you very much for the $15 donation. No injuries, new game plans. That is something I want to see, that elite running. I want to see us stop overusing it. And I saw a few people say they want to see us kill teams. I think we can kill teams. It's because we haven't learned yet to play an easier way. Last year, it felt like we had to be hard running and 100 miles an hour, because you can't physically do that for 4 quarters. There was no, and unfortunately, our defense and our rest, reminded me of a Rocky movie. It was like we put our gloves down and just used our chin and hoped you punched your way out until we got to round 12, where I want to see us just cover up a little bit, take the punches, but protect yourself and fight back a bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. And I think with something that Bryce said before about winning the flag is always the aim, but the media would destroy us. Fuck, the media destroy us anyway. The media destroy us regardless of what we do. I promise you now, after tomorrow's game, there will be an article about Carlton or Collingwood either way. 100%. So you may as well just come out and say it. The media is going to shit can us anyway. But as far as the recruitments go, I'm with you. I mean, I think Tom Mitchell is going to be the biggest recruit of the year across the league. I think the way Collingwood play and what they missed, it's almost like, I hate this term, so please don't jump down my throat, but it's like that money ball. It's almost like Moneyball. It's like, who's the best? Yeah, I know, I hate it. But who's the best extractor? Go and get him, because that's what Collingwood are missing. Now they got him, and I think he's going to be so good for them. Equally, Moneyball, fucking, who's one of the hardest runners, two-way runners, defensive wingers? Bang, Blake Acres, Carlton, go and get him. I think those two recruits are huge and going to change both teams dramatically.
Yeah, and I think what is really sexy about this matchup is I think it's the perfect practice game psychologically, because you would say Collingwood, whether we want to admit it or not, psychologically have the wood on us. Do you know what I mean? They can say, we knocked you out of finals. There's a lot of players in that list who are playing tomorrow for us who, without being harsh, probably have had sleepless nights, I hope, and gone... Corey Durden being one of them, going, if only I'd taken a little bit of pace off and hit that target. Charlie Curnow, if only I'd kicked that goal. Do you know what I mean? I think there'll be a few players there who will psychologically be like, this is my chance now to face my fears very early. And I know it's a practice game and I'm not looking at the results so much. I'm looking at the application. I think from a psychological standpoint for Carlton, if they can put in a good performance, lick the game plan, mentally, they are going to be like, well, you know what? The nightmare's over. We know we can do it. This is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. And I've also got to be careful what I say. This year, my goal is to stop getting hashtag Fazz's Pies trending, because, to be honest, everyone thinks I love the pies. So I've got to be a bit more...
Fuzzy's Pies.
Oh, mate, it was trending all over Twitter. Fazz Pies.
Fazz Pies. Mate, even though you're my mate, I still question your loyalty. But Bryce, good question this. Who do you think our best extractor is? I'm going to throw, and I've been sticking up for him all day because I don't think he gets enough love from Carlton fans. George Hewitt, for me.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking.
It is the guy that I think turns me on the most.
Yeah, I agree. Good shout with Walsh. I mean, you there's no wrong answer going, Cripps, Walsh, whatever. But yeah, for me, it's Hewitt. If there's a person I want to get hands on the ball to extract it out quickly, it's Georgie, for sure.
Tell you what, Geordie, a good friend of mine, good mate of mine. He's a big Bombers fan as well, mate. Flaggers.
Yeah.
What would the hashtag be for them? Kennedy, I'm a big fan of Bam Bam. I know if anyone saw me on Twitter today, I never slagged Bam Bam off. I just said if I had to choose between one. In fact, we'll put that to the audience because I don't think there's a right and wrong answer.
No,
if you could only have one, Bam Bam or Hewitt, who are you picking? There's no right or wrong answer.
No. There's no right or wrong answer, but the right answer is George Hewitt.
I was going to say, I'll block you if you say Kennedy.
And I love Kennedy. But it's Georgie boy.
Thank you, Tony, mate. You are a legend. Thank you for that. Now, there's a few Hewitts. I mean, Kennedy is very good. I will say this about Kennedy. I said this to the gentleman on Twitter as well. I think both of them are best 22. And I want to go on to this because I've got a bit of internal mail, right, on this. Right, so I promised that I would do a show today and relay what it is. But if you actually go through the team sheet, Jack Silvani, Jesse Motlop, Lockie O'Brien, Adam Chera, Matt Kennedy, Patrick Cripps, Matt Kennedy and O'Brien of them two will be in the VFL as well. Harry Mackay, TDK, Blake Acres, Ollie Hollands and Lockie Plowman in the VFL and AFL. Doc, Wheater in Newman, Fisher, Lockie Cowan, my boy is there. Ooh. George Hewitt, Curnow, Lewis Young. There was a lot of rumours that he was going to be dropped for Durden, but he's still there. Ed Curnow, Josh Honey and Sincotta playing both, Adam Sard, and surprisingly, Alexander, the Juggernaut, Murkoff, will play both games. So I think what that tells me, and what I want to relay, and this has come from a very, probably not, you can't get much a better source than this. I'm not going to reveal it. I am under strict secrecy, but this isn't any bearing on the best 22. This is purely a practice game, and a lot of players, featured and not featured, are still on massive workload management due to the change up in the off season for peaking players at round one. So if you think carefully, a few players that are missing out are natural footballers. They probably don't need to go through the motions as much as mechanical footballers. Don't think that Pittonet's sacked, Marchbank's dead, McGovern's actually dead. You know, both
would
teams
not
are doing
be
it as well, because a reliable source, Pies, are also on the same management load program. So don't read into it. And a lot of players are battling for one position, which have been preferred over some others. So can't reveal too much, but it is exciting. But I want to look at that team and talk about a few ones. Now, Billy, mate, you're a genius. Thank you as well, Malcolm, for becoming a member. Welcome to you, Malcolm. We love you, my friend. Love you here.
Billy's all over it.
Is Ed. Now, I think Ed Curnow is a really, really intriguing one, right? Now, I want to know what everyone thinks about Ed Curnow being there. I know he kind of divides attention, but for me, and I'll say this, and I'm just going to put this as a poll in chat. If, let's just say, heaven forbid, George Hewitt goes down like he historically does, the guy, Sydney, if you believe them, reckon he can't play 22 games. He's an 18-game player since that back injury, and they had to nurse him off halfback. If George Hewitt went down, be honest with yourself. Round 23 happens again. Carlton versus Collingwood. You have to win to make finals. Who are you picking? Paddy Dow or Ed Curnow?
Mate, Ed Curnow, 100%.
With you?
100%.
With you?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hassan.
Yeah. Billy's all over it. Ed Curnow is going to be very, very important. And people won't like that because he's not sexy and he's not all this, but he is going to be very important.
Yep. For me, the way I look at Ed Curnow is I don't think he's best 22. And I said this when we did his review on Blue Abroad. I actually think he'll be surprised. I think he'll play 12 games this year, which is probably 12 more than a lot of people. I don't know if Pommy in Oz chat is just really nice, because I've seen a lot of people say, why is Ed there? I genuinely think you look at the other top clubs, people talk about age. This time last year, Isaac Smith traded to Geelong, and the media said, Dad's Army, they're fucked. He was voted their second best player in the coaches system. So there's no substitute for age. So I genuinely believe just as that, he's going to be a vital role. And you know what? I actually think, and I know Bryce is a big Ed Curnow fan.
Yeah.
I think he's probably someone when Carlton are in the shit, and we panic. Ed Curnow never panics.
Never. Now, the thing about Ed Curnow is, and I wanted to say this, the minute Sam Walsh went down, to me, the only player who's suited to replace him is Ed Curnow. Why? Because Sam Walsh runs 15 kilometres a game. Not many players in the competition run 15 kilometres a game. You know who runs 15 kilometres a game? Ed Curnow. It's almost a like for like. And people will come at me saying, Ed Curnow, Sam Walsh, like for like. Forget the names, forget that. But look at their statistics and cover the names up. Ed Curnow and Sam Walsh, it's a like for like. So I think he's going to be very important whilst we're waiting for Walshy to come back. But one of the things you said just before, I mean, I nearly fell off my chair. It was just, you're telling me, hang on, a professional organization is getting a team ready for round one. Stop it. Stop it. No way. It
That
honestly,
is a surprise for Carlton, though, to be
I was
fair.
losing my hair when I kept telling people that last season why Carlton ran out of steam, and I kept saying it's because we were primed in February, winning preseason games, because that's what we needed to do. We needed to get up and about, and we'll get down to predictions at some point. So that this might be a little bit of a sneaky, insight to my predictions of what the season's going to look like. I don't care if we're primed, even for round one. It's not about round one. It's about the season, and the best 22 players. You're picking the best 22 players for round one. So many times I've seen people say he's not best 22. He's not best 22. He won't be there when we win a flag. Well, we're not playing a premiership in 3 weeks' time. We're playing round one, and Ed Curnow will be better to win us that game. Will he be better in the last Saturday in September? I don't know. But round one, which is what's most important, we need to just look at that. So this whole ethos around he won't be there, he's not a premiership player, blah, blah, blah. People just need to just, mellow down a bit.
No, I agree with you. And like Hassan here, I think great. Thank you for the $3 donation. Do you think you'll see Walsh round one? I think you'll see him round two. I think Carlton it'll be like last year. I reckon a repeat of last year. Like we'll see the training footage. He'll be touch and go for round one. But round one, Richmond, you look at their midfield, Taranto, Hopper. If Ed Curnow gets through these two practice games,
he's playing.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Ed Curnow start round one.
He's playing. And I think you'll see Walsh round three, personally.
Round three.
Yeah.
In the AGM, I've got a mate who's wrote notes for the AGM. I was busy, but round six, he didn't tell me that. So round six, I reckon Cookie might be throwing a curveball. I reckon it'll be earlier. I just can't see Carlton breaking the duck. But what I wanted to come on with the new kids, Lockie Cowan, he's someone that I am super excited about. Super excited about seeing. If you've watched Pommy and Oz, I fell in love with this kid very early, and I can't believe Carlton picked him. I'm not used to getting excited about him. But there is two guys there that have, by reports, burning down the house. Cowan is one of them. The other one is Ollie Hollands, and it's interesting that the rumours are Ollie Hollands and Lockie O'Brien are fighting for one spot. And in my draft profile, I called Ollie Hollands the likeable good Lockie O'Brien. And the likeable wasn't a pot shot. It's just that no one likes Lockie O'Brien. Right? And I've got his shirt. I like him, but he is a very likeable guy. But he is also, I think, a huge upgrade on him. And Cowan, who I think, when you look at what Doc was early doors for Carlton, I see a lot of similarities, but he's probably more tenacious and got a bit of thug about him as well. I'm excited about these two, and these are two that I think are going to relish playing for us guys, because especially Ollie Hollands, he's a great kid and he loves Carlton. So you're going to get what you get from Cottrell, but a bit more class, and he's someone that I'm excited. What's everyone's thoughts on them potentially playing round one? And what are we looking for from them tomorrow?
Personally, the pleasing thing about those two, and you can add Binsey into this one as well, is they kick the bloody ball. I mean, one of my things is I'm so sick of us fucking around with the ball, whether it be in the midfield, on the wing, in the back line. Hopefully we don't Carltonize these boys and stop them kicking the ball, because they kick the ball. So I love them. I think Cowan plays. Personally, I think he plays. I think Carlton have shown their hand. They've shown their hand, and they'll show their hand tomorrow when Doherty starts in the midfield. And I think that means Cowan will play. As we sit here right now, I've got Lockie O'Brien playing, because I'm of the big belief there needs to be a pecking order as well. So I think he's got the runs on the board, if you say, and it's very minimal runs. Like he's, one not out overnight, right? Do you know what I mean? Like he's got the run on the board, if you say. So I think he's got that spot, but that could change tomorrow, and it could change next week against Sydney. So you talk about there's nothing to play for in these practice matches. Some of these players have everything to play for. Lockie O'Brien has everything to play for, because if Ollie Hollands kills it tomorrow, well, he overtakes O'Brien. But at this stage, it's like I've literally just got O'Brien just a fraction just ahead of him for round one.
Mate, and I love it. I mean, Bryce here, I actually think there is an argument for both of them to play. Like Ollie Hollands, having watched him religiously at juniors, the whole size argument about Ollie Hollands, if you watch him actually play, it doesn't matter. The kid is special. The kid is special. And him doing what he does well is he doesn't drift into contests. And Big Macca here, I agree with him. Lockie O'Brien, one of the nicest kids I've ever spoke to, and a guy that I fell in love with when I've ever spent time with Lockie O'Brien as well. He's a real football head as well.
Smart.
Real football, knows his footy as well. He's not a mug.
Talk about size. I mean, size means nothing. You had Dacos in his first year, who's smaller than my 5-year-old daughter. Size means nothing if you don't get a contested ball. It's fine. It's fine. There you go. Write that down, Collingwood.
Mate, no, I'm with you, and I'm with Gav in the chat. I actually think that I hate to say this. I think in a lot of the 22s I've seen, I would say that you would probably see O'Brien and Hollands play over Cottrell. Is my gut, and I actually think that gives them a rotation. It gives them a rotation because Ollie Hollands, people forget, this guy's played high half forward as well. So I think, I really do think that looks good because, like you say, both of them have got a turn of pace, and both of them are very, 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 very strong. And Billy asks here as well. This is another guy who has been picked to play both games. Chincotta. Some Twitter rumors going around that he's Adam Sard 2.0. I absolutely loves Chincotta, and I was a big fan of him in the VFL, but Adam Sard 2.0 is a bold call.
Nick Hind 2.0 maybe, but
but he would be a guy that I think would be very. He's got an opportunity. I think even though I'm a Cowan fan, I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy get the nod over Cowan, because I don't think there's a huge necessity to play Hollands and Cowan round one. But I would say if they can replicate even 60% of what they did at junior levels, I'm telling you now from watching both of them, we haven't got anyone like them two on our list, apart from Doc with Lockie Cow, but now he's playing midfield. Something about him. There's something about both of these.
Yeah. Well, I think with Chincotta, I think for me, you go with Cowan to let him play his natural game. If you're going to play Chincotta, it's because they've got a job for him. And whether or not it's on Castagna or whatever, for Chincotta, you got to give him a clear role. Where I know that sounds pretty harsh, but when you do bring a supplementary player in, you're not really wanting them to play on their natural flair and their natural instinct to go. You kind of want to give them a role. Cottrell's at his best when he has a role, for example. I think Chincotta will be the same. So if he plays round one, I fully expect him to have a role, be it on a Trent Cotchin, who they reckon is going to be a 30-goal a year forward or whatever. But if they play Cowan, I think it'll be leash off, son. Go nuts.
Mate, I love it. And we've got Big Zed here. He's from Margate in Kent. Ooh. My pop was born in Crayford in Kent. So the guy who raised me. So I know the area. Beautiful part of the world. If you go to Kent, you probably need 2.8 million to just get off the train in that county. It's a very expensive county, but it is a beautiful area. But some couple of questions, some fan questions.
Yep.
Chat and Fazz. Who kicks the most goals tomorrow? Because I reckon this is the most exciting battle. And there's only one wrong answer here. That's if you say Harry. But Charlie by a mile.
I think Harry will kick the most goals because I reckon Charlie will play a half. And I think Harry will play a full game.
Oh, come on, Fazz. Fazz, we're pro Curnow here.
Oh, sorry. All right, yeah. Curnow will kick 16, and it'll be.
No, I reckon it'll be 4-3.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. There was something I really wanted to say, but I'm not going to say
talk,
it.
Fazz.
Yeah, all right. No injury talk. All right.
No injury talk. The next tagger for the club, like what Ed did.
Do teams really roll with taggers these days? I'm not sure.
Well, they do, don't they? Unfortunately, they do. But
yeah.
I could see, you know who I could see actually? You mentioned him earlier. I wonder what chat thing. I could think you need, because what makes, I think, a good role, I like the run with tagger role. So, which Carlton have deployed a few times this year, and quite successful with Cripps if you're trying to beat Cripps. I think Mr. Cottrell.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it. Look, I think when I think about I'm always a bit cautious on too many lockdown roles, and I think you want to run with player rather than a full-blown lockdown. I'd be more leaning towards locking down on small forwards and actually locking down on halfback flankers rather than midfielders, because it always seems to be halfback flankers that murder us, let alone a midfielder. So.
Yeah, I personally think moving forward, it's going to be like a player that's a run with role in the side that's there for another reason. But if someone gets off the chain, I think you look at. Yeah, I agree, Gina. I know you've mentioned Cottrell as well. I think it's a great call because he's got pace as well, good engine, and he could be in the team for another reason. You see a lot of teams do it, like Geelong, like Atkin, to go to people, even though he's got a defined role. If someone does take the pitch, and he moves his role.
I've got a bit of a left field one here, and it's not the tagger role. It's more of the follow him, knowing you can do better role. And man, I'm going to get slaughtered for this. I know I am. I've seen other teams do it with big name players. I reckon Sam Walsh sitting on someone at a stoppage is not the worst option in the world either.
I don't mind.
If someone's really getting on top of you, Sam Walsh can run all day. You just be like, mate, sit on him for a couple of stoppages, follow him to the forward line, and then run off him. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Sam Walsh, you can't do that. But I've seen Selwood do it. I've seen lots of players, big name players, sit on a player before. I'm pretty sure, didn't Selwood do it on Lachie Neale or something like that? He sat on him, and then
I agree, because I think, like Gab says, I don't think we need to tag. I don't think we need to tag per se. So I actually think Sam Walsh, he's actually a good call, because I know Steele used to do it with Cripper. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
He used to do it with Cripper, and the whole role was just be one up.
That's a perfect example. Teams do it to Cripps all the time, and Steele always kills us. And yes, Jason, yes, that is called manning a man. I get it. Like I know. But my point is, sometimes if there's a player who really kills us all the time, like what they do to Cripps, I think, Pommy, your example is the best there. Steal onto Cripps.
Yeah, Aussie Nick, I'll be at the game. The best I can do, though, there'll be a full in-depth live review. Full interactive. With a fan cam, 7:00. Me and Lek Dog. I've got the beautiful Lek Dog. Well, we move over to answer the big Kent boys question. We will be covering all the AFL in a second. We're just getting some Carlton news out as well. For Carlton, injuries and moving forward, I want to put this out to the masses, right? And I've said this a lot. In my opinion, if Cunningham misses more than 2 months, ta-ra.
He's done. Yeah.
And I think, looking at the injuries, I would say 90% going over the last 3 years, same guys. You look at the out of contract this year, 75% of that out of contract is injured players.
Yeah.
I'd say if Carlton are serious, what is killing us, and we talked about Ed Curnow, it's always depth that I think kills us. And the depth is even more bare when the backup is repetitively injured all the time. For me, I think Cunningham And the media release of him wrestling blags my head. Do you know what I mean? Blags my head because it's your last chance. How you can fuck about wrestling. I'm going to mention this more tomorrow. I'll have a rant now. Whichever player was wrestling with Connors in the dressing room, if I'm Cripps, I'm going to Voss, and I don't care if it's Curnow. I would be saying, I don't want this twat lining up with me tomorrow, because whoever thought it was a good idea to wrestle with him, mind fucking boggling. Do you know what I mean? To engage in it is stupid, as well as Connors saying, oh, let's have a wrestle. I mean, mental to me. But I think they have to go. And Zach Williams, his contract is still out. Do you know what I mean? His contract's out. I do feel sorry for him. But with Cunningham, for me, I think there's a lot of players as well. I'm looking at Marchbank and McGovern as well. Two guys. It ironically, Cripps wrestling as well. Cripps has got to go to Voss tomorrow. I can't play. But whoever it was, because to me, I understand they've got to have fun. And I'm not saying that. I'm a man. I'm stupid. But the way that was worded, it didn't sound like it was a ratified wrestling session. It sounded like two guys. And I don't know what it is with Australian males and wrestling, because when Fasolo did it, loads of people in the comments were like, oh, we always have. I have never wrestled since I left home. Like, I used to powerbomb my brother. Do you know what I mean? But I just find that staggering to me. Staggering to me.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been on record. I was on this show last year at some point. I'm still a bit shocked that we went into 2023 with both Cunningham and Marchbank on the list, especially when a player like Jack Noons gets delisted, and he played, I think it was like 20 games. Like, I think he played nearly every game most seasons when he was here. And I think, look, I think Austin's done a phenomenal job since coming, an absolute phenomenal job. I think he did play a little bit of, maybe a little bit of nice guy in this scenario. But I'm telling you now, if either Marchbank or Cunningham are on our list going into 2024, it's a mistake. It's a big, big mistake. And I know I'll upset a lot of people there, but we can't keep having it. Hey, Marchbank might come out and have a Charlie Curnow type year, play every game. Great, awesome. But the minute they keep getting these knocked, McGovern's got another back. You know, Williams injured again, Martin injured again. It's Philp injured. It's the same blokes every time. And to me, and Chris just raised it there, I'm an unashamed Plowman backer. He's a wonderful guy. He's an AFL footballer. We'll just say he's an AFL footballer. He's fit. He's always fucking fit. He plays every single week. So stop bashing the bloke. Because you know what? He's in our best 22. Newsflash, he's in our best 22. Why? Because he's not fucking injured. That's why he's in our best 22. And I'm honestly getting sick of it. I love the boys. They're nice guys. But seriously, if... And I'll really, and I don't know what their contract status is, but Marchbank, Cunningham, McGovern, Jack Martin, I'm assuming all four of them are out of contract very soon. They don't get double-figure games this year. They have to go. Not one of them, not to all of them. They just have to. We can't keep doing it.
Mate, you know, with Plowman, I don't think he's best 22 in my opinion. But what I will say about him is I wish everyone was like Plowman in the terms of I'd take 10% talent for his ability to be week in, week out available. And that's the big thing for me with Plowman. Talent-wise, is he best 25, best 30? Probably not, in my opinion. But he gets games because Marchbank, talent-wise, well above him. Do you know what I mean? Players are well above him, but the problem is, it's all well and good being better than Plowman, but when Plowman is last man standing every time, that's why he gets a gig, because I love Marchbank to be half as good as he is, but have Plowman fit.
Yeah,
Fuck, we'd
and
be
this is
laughed.
James makes the point, and this is a comment I get all the time, and I get it, right? And I understand, and I appreciate your comment. But yes, being fit does make him a good AFL footballer. Why? Because he plays AFL. That's why. He's a better AFL footballer than Marchbank and Cunningham and McGovern. Why? Because he plays.
Yeah,
It's as simple as that. He
for me,
plays, so he's better.
for me, in an ideal world, Plowman would be your fourth replacement who
Yeah.
is on the list driving the standards in the VFL.
Yeah.
The VFL. Do you know what I mean? Driving the standards, and then you've got that break glass in case of emergency. If heaven forbid one of your third tolls goes down, a little bit of a niggle, you need to rest him over a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You break the glass. March Plowman's there. And unfortunately, that is why I want to put this out there. For me, I think Carlton, if they want to go the next level, they have to, in my opinion, Marchbank and McGovern, if neither of them play 10 games minimum, both go. But I'd be having a serious question if one doesn't play it, of even keeping one, because we are getting to the stage now, particularly and I'm going to be harsh on players, Sam Philp. Philp now, for me, he's done, because end of the day, you can find these players, they're 10 a penny in the draft.
Yeah.
Going 1,000. Cunningham, 10 a penny in the draft. 10 a penny in the draft. Do you know what I mean? Plowman, in reality, where he is at Carlton, he should be your pick 50, 60, 18-year-old who is just there because the guy above him isn't best 22, he's precipice, and the guy above him is playing seniors. So he's got like 2 people to die before he's even thought about. But on reality, we've got a lot of... You look at our second best 22, you actually do 2 44s, you actually realise, fuck, the second 22 isn't fucking fit ever. Ever fit.
Yeah, and that, I think that's the reality. And I mean, I know I just... It just frustrates me because I laugh when I see people post their best 22s on Twitter and on Facebook, and you're just like, mate, 6 of those blokes in your best 22 won't play. And I saw someone make the comment about if they do sign on, they need to have half the contract. No, I'd rather just not have them. I'd rather not have them. It's because you've got 44 players on your list, regardless of what they're getting paid. People get sucked into contracts and wages and all that stuff all the time. Right? But what happens is, even if they're on a pittance, even if they're playing for free, there's still 44 blokes. And if you're relying, and 10 of them are always injured, you're always behind the 8 ball, regardless of what they get paid. And I know what's going to happen. And James will like this. I know what's going to happen. I'll look like the biggest nuff when Plowman gets injured tomorrow. So, yeah. But, it is what it is. I'm going to get this tattooed across my forehead. The best ability is availability. We say it all the time. Voss said it. Like James said, Voss doesn't agree with me. He does agree with me because he says the best ability is availability.
Mate, I'm with you. And I think if you actually ask yourself honestly, for me, if in real life, you look at our defensive players at Carlton, if all of them had normal AFL fitness, because Marchbank and McGovern and Zach Williams freak. You actually look at their injury record over the last 2 years, it's almost freakish. It's almost bizarre. And it's either poor preparation or really, really bad luck. But if they were fit, I guarantee you now, Lockie Plowman wouldn't be on Carlton's list.
100%.
He'd be nowhere. He'd probably be playing Ovens and Murray football. Do you know what I mean? We'd probably never heard of him again. But
I'm the first one to say that. If everyone's fit, Plowman wouldn't be on the list.
But in reality, Plowman is guaranteed to play 10 games a year because
correct.
All of them players at one point in time, guaranteed, will all be in the physio room.
Yeah, and as you said, what's your favourite line? If your aunt had wheels, should be a bike.
If my nana had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Yeah, it's the same. We can live ifs and buts, but we deal in facts. And the fact is, he's fit.
Mate, I mean, you look next year. We'll just go through this list, right? Look at this year. If I'm Austin, I'm probably having the best nights with my wife, knowing that every day is a day closer that I can get rid of some of these players if they are injured again. But you've got Chincotta, he's brand new, right? Brody Kemp, massive injury issue. Kid's talented, massive injuries. But straight away, Kemp, Marchbank, Plowman, McGovern, right? You can't have, in an ideal world, 4 players now Kemp is back in his normal position as a third tall. You can't have all 4 of them people on the list. It's way too many when you've got 2 in the seniors as well. So, in reality, I would say only 2 of them stay max. But I would say Kemp probably is ahead of the queue in the terms of his age, right? In his age, because he's still got talent. But then the other 3, like I love Marchbank, I love McGovern, but Jesus, like looking at draft someone, buy another player, buy like someone like Hibbard, an old guy who is fit as someone. You don't keep them, even at half price, because that is where you maintain the standard. Like Hassam here talking about the quotes today of regulating the standards. That's how you keep the high standards. And it's a tough place. It's a tough place. But look at Geelong. Geelong get rid of some good players. We've fallen into the trap. Oh, Lockie Fogarty played 8 games.
Billy Schmitz.
That's what top sides do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've got it on very, very good authority. Someone I know very well who's involved in Geelong, that they lick their lips whenever it comes trade time in Carlton. The phone rings and it's Carlton.
Mate,
they love dealing with Carlton.
Mate, I have no doubt. But I mean, that's it.
They sit there like, the Blues are calling again.
Mate, thank God Nick Austin doesn't like Geelong. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly right. They'll be St Kilda now.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Pom.
Oh,
Mrs. Pom brought a cup of tea. You know what I mean? What position would Matt Letizia play for the Blues? Based on the injuries, probably halfback. Welcome, start. But we now come to this bit. I've got this bit. It's a bit of fun to end with. Season predictions. So season predictions, right? At home, we'll just go straight with the hard question. Who's winning the flag? And why?
Do you want me to go with an easy one or a bit of a, Geelong? I'd say Geelong. Why? Because they're the best team in the comp.
Well, doing this show with you, I would never expect an easy ride, to be honest.
All right. I believe Richmond will win the flag.
Ooh. Yep. And why is that?
Because I think they've improved in the positions that they were weak in. Their ability to bring in Taranto and Hopper, and now they can get rid of Trent Cotchin, who was cooked. They can play, and it's all Richmond fans. Trent Cotchin ain't playing forward. He ain't playing, right? And then they'll, Dusty Martin forward. Lynch, in my opinion, is the best forward in the comp. They just need to stay fit in their back line, and I think Richmond. I think they're gonna do that final frontier. They'll win the flag. You'll see Cotchin, Rewalt, Grimes. They'll all retire. It'll be happy days. Like Brisbane, and move on from there. But yeah,
mate, Daz is with you. Fast times.
Shit.
There we are. It was only a matter of time before he defected. Yeah. So there we are. Good day to you, Mr. Block Fox. I reckon I'm with Quinton and a few of the others in chat. I think Demons are my pick. I just think I did their list the other day, and I just think no one's talked about them. And I just think the reason why I think Carlton are going to get better is the same reason Melbourne are, is that they had such a blistering start. What were they, 15-0?
Yeah.
Like that's why it doesn't worry me about tomorrow, because I remember the Melbourne game saying, there's no way Melbourne are going to be this shit. Right, because when we beat them, I was like, Melbourne aren't going to be this shit in real life. Like, they're holding back. They dominated, and then they died. Melbourne were horrific after that start. So I just think Melbourne are that. For me, I always look at how you finish your season and how you started. I think there was something missing. I just think they're going to be very good. And I think Melbourne just will go under the radar. Like Aussie Nick says, under the radar. No one's
Yeah.
talked about them.
Uh,
I think
they'll
that helps them out.
They'll change their training on it so they're peaking at the right time. They peaked too early, Melbourne. It was simple as that, you know. But yeah, I think that's a great shout. I think Melbourne's a really good shout.
Yeah, I think that's big. And the prediction here for Blues, where will the Blues finish?
All right. I think I'll go through what I had written down. I think Carlton will have a slow start. I think we'll start really slow. I think we'll lose to Richmond. I think we'll lose to Geelong, and I think it was a GWS round 3. I think we'll just fall over the line against GWS. The pressure will be on. I think the pressure will build, but are they going to prove that they have the bottle and the actual fight? I think we're going to see that this round 23 game hurts Carlton more after we lose round 1 and 2, because I think Cripps he'll get 3-3-3 in the next votes in the next 3 games, and I think we'll come home with a wet sail. The exact opposite to last year. Slow start. Come the bye, I think we'll almost be 50-50 at the bye, and we'll scream home, and I think we'll finish 6th.
You see, I've had 6. I've had 6 since last like about a day after round 23.
Yeah.
And I've got a feeling that I know one of the friends of the channel keeps talking about one more heartbreak for Carlton. I actually think the heartbreak is they'll miss out on the top 4.
Yes.
By the last game. I think they'll have a blip in round 23 again. There'll be a little bit of a jitter, and that'll be the talk next year. Ooh, Carlton round 23. It's becoming a cursed game. But I think they'll make finals, and I genuinely believe Carlton will win a final as well. I think when I look at this side,
I agree.
My brain says to me, these guys are built for finals. They look like one-game players. We've got so many flash Harrys. Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, Patrick Cripps. These guys remind me of the guys that when a final happens, they go up a gear. So I genuinely think that's it. But I've got 0 and 2 start as well.
Yeah, same.
I think
that's what I've got. I've got that too.
I think Carlton will take the piss in the bye, leading up to the bye, and then finish really strong with a blip in round 23. I've got a feeling that Carlton will be on a run. And round 23 will be a real abject performance where everyone's a bit disappointed. But
to me, 6th just sounds right. A home final, I think it sounds right. And like I said, I genuinely believe. So I did tip Richmond to win the flag, but I think what's going to cost Richmond, if anything, is I think they're going to come out all guns blazing. Them losing to Carlton in round 1 just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. They lost last year, and they'd be saying, we don't lose to Carlton round 1. This does not happen. And I think they'll come out and I hope I'm wrong. I said, so everyone's going to jump down my throat negative. We're going to make finals. We'll win a final. But I'm telling you now, round 1, I can see Richmond putting on 7 goals to 1 in that first quarter. I could really see it happening.
You see, my theory on round 1 is I think it'll just be tight. I've got a feeling that it's going to be a good old fastened slugfest.
I just don't think we're ready.
Both teams are going to be evenly matched, and I think maybe the lack of firepower. Do you know what I mean? The lack of I think it's going to take a while. I've got a feeling, this is my prediction, that our game plan is going to be so drastically different, and it's kind of got a bit of a Port vibe when Voss really started working with their midfield, where they suddenly added another layer. But that another layer was so different to that robust, combative Port midfield. Suddenly it was dynamic, and it takes a while for the feelers. But I've just got a feeling. I'm quite happy at the end of the day. To be wrong, I want us to be 2-0, and I'm going to go in with a belief. But my vision tells me that's how it starts, and there's a little bit of pain.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, and that's the same. I just got this feeling. I hope I'm wrong, but I just feel like that this has been a very poor preseason. I just don't think we're ready. I think we're going to come into, like last season, coming into round 1, we were primed. Like we were ready to go. There was not a team that was going to beat us in round 1 or 2. We were ready to go. I just don't think we're ready. I think we're limping into round 1. And we'll get a better gauge tomorrow. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misreading it. We come out tomorrow and we're running on top of the ground. I just feel like we're limping in a bit into round one, which is fine. Come after me. Tag me on Twitter. Fazz is a dickhead. We're finishing sixth. We're finishing sixth. We're going to win a final. Round one is not finals, though. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, like for me, when I did my ladder predictor, I think both Geelong and Richmond are going to be really tight and we're really stiff to lose them. And I just think something clicks against the Giants. And I have actually, and I don't know if I'm being stupid, but I've got us winning here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had us winning 8 games in a row and then dropping the Sydney one round 11. I genuinely thought, when I looked at it, I thought, bang, that's what the boys are going to do. The boys are suddenly going to hit that vein of form. And I just think, for me, I think our game plan is going to be totally bizarre. Yeah. Totally bizarre and really different to what you've seen.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is what I do believe in that run, after round 2, one of those games is going to be the game we've all been crying out for. One of those games we're going to win by 80 to 100 points.
Yeah, you see, I have this as GWS.
It'll click. Yeah, I don't know which. Yeah, I hope so.
I had a theory that it was GWS. I thought because GWS is that one that we have bad memories of. GWS, they're always that thing. I think Carlton suddenly do a job, and you actually see, Richmond and Geelong have played well. Carlton are actually finding it, and I've just got a feeling that Voss's game plan is going to shift to a really expansive. We're going to see. We saw the tales last year of how 85% of the ball moved on the wing, which always shocks people when then the scoring was 67 from the corridor, right? That says to me what Voss has done. He was like, right, I need dynamic players on the wing. I need players that really going to get in amongst it, get players to overlap, which I've been told that's been a big staple of overlap, that the halfbacks get higher up than their wingers, which is very Geelong, how they fabricate width, how they fabricate it on narrow, because their ground's narrow. People think it's weird, but they're very good on wide grounds because space is suddenly no longer a premium. They manage to overlap very quickly. I think you're going to see Carlton take the piss. And I'm quite bullish on that. I'm quite bullish on it.
I agree. And if there's two, I've got it from a few people who I know that play at the club and all that. If there's 2 teams, and sorry if you support these teams, but there's 2 teams I'd be worried about going into those rounds, it's Adelaide and St Kilda. Because I know for a fact, the round 23 game hurts for all, but I know for a fact that the players looked at the St Kilda and the Adelaide games as saying they were the ones. So when we go over to Adelaide, I would not want to be Adelaide Crows because I can see us really putting the foot down and burying them on their home deck, because I agree with this opinion, but I know the players saw that as the one. That was the kick in the guts that really sewed up the end of the season.
Now, I thought the St Kilda game is probably the best game to watch Carlton last year, and I want to talk a little bit about football. I think when you watch, well, I say football, you guys call it soccer, but it's football. But I think my team here, if you've been following the EPL season, the big changes I've seen in Arsenal and United, who are, in my opinion, probably the 2 best sides in the country at the moment on form. I think that's a fair call.
Fair call.
I think what they've added is, and I see a bit of Carlton in Arsenal and United, is they've added that pride and that urgency to be a tough team to beat. And I think I watched Arsenal against Villa 4-2. And the thing that screamed to me was they were never phased, even though the game kept going away from them. There was a real sense that Arsenal were going to find a way to win. And then when I watched United versus Leicester, Leicester were better in the first 20 minutes. But there was this belief in United that, you know what, we'll win this. The chance is going to come, we'll take it. And that's what I want to see from Carlton. And I feel like we saw enough last year to believe. But I actually think one thing that we lack is that belief in ourselves, a true belief. And at St Kilda, I thought St Kilda exposed that vulnerability, that we didn't like the question. And I think this year now, they've gone through enough for themselves to realise we do belong and we should do it. And I agree with you. I think that's why I have GWS beating us in round 23, because I think we'll stiff them in round 3, absolutely do a number on them. And that will be the game we all look back and say, something broke in the head. They started to believe there is levels to this, and this side is a level above the next 8 best sides in the comp.
Yeah, fact. Absolute fact.
Mate, flag 17. I stand by it. I actually watched Blue Abroad's My People, and I said it was 2024 was the year Carlton won a flag.
I think I said that too.
Looking good, that bet, baby.
Yeah, I think I said something similar. When I did it with Terry, I think mine was just before the Adelaide game, and I do believe I said, "Well, we'll get over Adelaide," which was, sew finals up. It was about 2 days before the Adelaide game. Yeah. So, but I think I said, one thing I will say with Carlton is the plan shouldn't change, because what tends to happen is I've seen a lot of people say Carlton didn't make finals, so the goal is to make finals. In my opinion, and I think it needs to be, the goal is top 4. We need to just kind of be like, well, we made finals last year. We had 12 wins. We won 12 games. So if the goal is just to make finals, we could make finals with 12 wins again. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could make finals with 11 wins. Does that mean you've had a better season? So if you set the bar saying the bar is to make finals, but if we have 11 wins and percentage, is that a better season than 12 wins? I don't know. It's semantics there. So I still think the goal needs to be based on wins, not so much where you finish on the ladder. So the goal needs to be 15 wins, round about that 4th, 5th mark. The goal shouldn't change just because we lost round 23. That's what I think.
Mate, I hate to upset people who were in that Collingwood Carlton argument, which actually made me cringe, because even though it was an argument about who was a better side, I took it as who was the least shit. And I'm like, can't believe we're arguing about who the least shit is. And Gav nails it to me. To me, the end goal is the Premiership. So for me, that's all that counts. And I hate to break this to the rest of the AFL, because I know there's some Richmond fans, some Pie fans, some beautiful Blues. For me, all 17 clubs are irrelevant when we're talking about winning, apart from Geelong. For me, Geelong go into this season, and they're the ones who can have the big bollocks and talk, because they've done it. They've been there and done it. Us, Fremantle, Melbourne, Port, all these sides, Collingwood, who are chomping at the bit to win it. We're the young pretenders, and the rest are just basically making up the numbers, in my opinion. You've got to start earning that respect and taking the respect. And I don't believe in sport you earn it. I believe you take it. And I think that, for me, that's what I'm looking for this year. We threatened to do it at 8-2. What 8-2 and the way we finished says to me is, I don't think they got ahead of themselves. I don't think they lost confidence. I actually think something different happened. I think, and I remember speaking to the players on the 8-2 when they'd won their 8th. All of them, Nick Newman was one who said to me, it was a bizarre thing to read the paper and not be lambasted and actually be praised. That was one of the things he said was the biggest shock, reading the paper and hearing positivity about Carlton, as opposed to this player needs to go, this coach needs sacking, what are they doing? Fold Carlton. I think there was a culture shock where they actually were like, fucking hell, people think we're going to win this game. And it was probably a new thing to them. I think now there is a massive change that they do belong there. And I think if we're honest about fans, there's probably 25 players in our best 30 we probably had serious questions about this time last year. Were they AFL standard? Now we've probably got 28, 29 players we think can play AFL football. It's all a development for them. And, you know, as good as Geelong are, and I want to put this out to the fans, and it's my last piece on this, Geelong aren't that good. They have been sustained in the top 8 for a long time. But how many flags have they had in that time? 2? And I don't count Geelong's first flag because my son could have won a flag when Chris Scott took charge with that team. Do you know what I mean? You could have dart thrown on 30 players and won the flag. It was that good. They've just been really good at being top 8. Gav nails it. Top 8 is garbage. It's just been the best of the rest, really. For me, that is what we need to strive to be better. Not be a top 8 side. Win multiple. Win multiple because Geelong, yes, they've been consistent at being good. But good isn't remembered in history. If you go back from 2020 to 2030, you only remember the Richmond dynasty, the Hawthorn dynasty. No twat will care about the 2022 flag Geelong won. They'll be like, oh, Hawthorn, Richmond, they were good. Geelong, they'll remember them as a very good side who could play 23 games better than everyone else. But the real winner is that flag winner, and that is what I want us to be. I think I'm willing to take whatever punishment I need to win 3 out of the next 6 flags. I don't want 1 flag and then fuck off into obscurity. I want sustained flags. And I think that's what we need to do as a fan base. Everyone keeps mentioning Geelong. Fuck being Geelong, being good in the season. Finish 8th and win the flag 4 times. Don't care. That is what, to me, is the primary focus. So we're talking about building up to round 1. I want us then to start building to the finals round, the first week of finals. Get there. Make sure you're brilliant first week of finals there. First week of finals is where it matters.
And that's exactly the point I made earlier when I said, people will lambast me with saying Ed Curnow and Plowman and all that aren't in a premiership team. But you know what? If they're the best players to be selected to win round 1, then you roll with it. And then round 2, and then you build and build and build. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. It's like Melbourne. Melbourne is similar. In 5 years' time, if they don't win another flag, in 5 years' time, you're like, what year did Melbourne win that flag? The drought breaking, 2021? Yeah, you just won't remember it.
Mate, I'm with you. Mate, 100% with you. Like, I don't think... Like, you look at it, you look at the minor premiers, and I always say this, you look at the minor premiers, Geelong, right, have done it a few times, minor premiers, been premiers once of the times they've done it. It's... Our league is the most ridiculous league in the world because finishing first out of 20-odd games is totally irrelevant to anything. Like, you get what? The McKellen Trophy, which is probably pawned at cash converters in the CBD to buy the gear for Mad Monday. Do you know what I mean? Like, literally. Like, cash converters Geelong probably has 48 McKellen trophies. They're like, oh, for fuck's sake, Chris, you're back again, mate. Tell you what, we'll give you $5,000 for it, kid. Yeah, it's irrelevant. But the real relevance is being good at that pillar end. Like, you look at Geelong, you look at Richmond. They finished 3rd for 2 of their 3 flags. 3rd best side. Do you know what I mean? Because they peaked when it mattered. You look at that 2017 side. They peaked at finals was when they peaked. Like. They were good the last 4 weeks, but when that first week of finals, Dustin Martin looked like he was Jesus.
Yeah, well, and actually that was a bit of a conversation on Twitter recently, the last week or so, when I was saying, is Dustin Martin the best player of this generation? And the reality is, he did it when it mattered. You can play 22 great games during the season, but if you're not doing it when it matters, then you may as well not have played.
Mate, I'm with you. I mean, like, you look at sides that win the flag. Winning, like, honestly, it annoys me because I know Geelong are a team that I admire that they're always in the 8, but I don't want their success. Like, I would guarantee, and I know a lot of Geelong fans, they all say to me, we should have won more though, Pommy. And I would rather be in the 8, 6 years, win 4 flags, go into obscurity for 4 years, come back 2 flags out of 6. I'd rather be like that than be in the 8 for 30 years and have 2 flags. That would make me sick. Because I always say this. Sydney, Collingwood. Yes, Carlton finished 9th, but at the end of the season, you all were the same as us. You were on
Correct.
holiday in Bali, end of September, fucking sat there biscuit-arsed and miserable. So even the wooden spooners North Melbourne were in the same boat. You had fuck all to show for you here. Just one side did.
The perfect example of that, because in my opinion, the best team I've ever seen was the Bombers of that 99 to 2001 period, and they just so happened to come up against a Brisbane dynasty. But that Bombers team, once again, I will stand here and say that Essendon team of that was one of the best, if not the best team I've ever seen, and they won one flag. And I've still got Essendon mates who talk about saying, shit, we should have won more flags in that era. Brisbane won the three-peat. Everyone remembers them. But I tell you what, Essendon, they were a phenomenal team in those years. We knocked them off by 1 point in that prelim in 99. No business doing that. And that's just the reality. We just did it. But they were a phenomenal football club in those times. And they won one flag. Where do you want to be? I mean, I think I said it actually to Webby today on Twitter. It just feels like if this keeps going on, this could be a what-if era. In 10, 15 years' time, and you're sitting down and you say, fuck, remember we had Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay? How did we not win flags? That's the worry.
Mate, like Gavin says, we've been through it. 95, that side, supreme. Do you know what I mean? From a statistical output as well. Absolutely ridiculous it didn't win more. And if you ever get the privilege to speak to Cooter, that is Cooter's big regret. That he looks back and goes, how do I only have one of these fucking things? I should have more. So, like, for me, that is to get the mentality out. I think every side, as nice as it is to win one, and I'm sure Webby said it, he'd take one. We'd all take one because we've been through some dog shit. Let's be honest. Like, the club wants to be thankful. Some of us are evidently sadists and keep coming back for more, right? On mass numbers. But in reality, you don't want to win one. It would be a shame if this group makes the grand final, wins one, and then after that we go. Imagine, like, I always think when people say, I just want to win one flag. If you tell me we win one flag and then it's 2018 on repeat for 6 years, fuck me. Like,
I do get the Webby sentiment, like you said, and I do get that. I just want one because the same. I just want one to feel one, but that's the immediate gratitude. It's just like, would you like $10,000 today or $1 million in 2 years' time? Well, fuck, mate, I could use $10,000 right now. Shit, yeah, I could. Just like I want a flag right now. But that gratification of that flag, as great as it would be, and it'd be the greatest celebration we ever had and all that, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years. Think about 95. All these people talking about 95. 28 years. Fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mate, it drives you insane. It'll drive you insane. Like, honestly, I've seen it with my team United when we finished second under Ollie, and everyone was like, "Oh, we're back, we're big time." And I'm like, this United side is good enough to steal one, but I come from a generation where we won multiple, and it was all finishing second was a no-brainer. It's what we were meant to do. Winning it was the hard bit, and that's what we did. And Daz, mate, I say this to my kids all the time, and this is how I'm a very competitive man in everything I do. Mate, Daz, doesn't matter how you win it, history doesn't give a shit, right? If you win, you win, mate, honestly. Do you know what I mean? If I beat you 10-8 playing golf and my winning shot is I've thinned an iron and it's hit an old lady off the back of the green and gone in, history will just say Pom won, mate. Don't care.
Love it.
Mate. Brown paper bags, who cares? But that is all we got time for. I love you all. Me and Fazz will be back I reckon we should do Thursday. I like Thursday.
Thursday's juicy. Thursday roll into the weekend. Beautiful.
You know
except for when we've got a game on, of course.
You know what I mean? Well, I mean, we'll only have one game, which is the Richmond game, but we'll do a Wednesday for the Richmond game and preview
definitely.
it. But Thursday, we will be back. Much love to everyone. It's great to be back. Send in your questions via Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, to me or Fazz. We're always on. Fazz, you'll just have to search Icon Park Ground, and I think he's the top search.
Hashtag Fazz Tigers.
But great to be back. We can't wait to see you. Loads planned for the year. Much love. See you soon.
See you guys.